for this purpose of this presentation?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
Okay, once the host is able to make me the co-host, I'll be able to start sharing my screen. But once again, permit me to thank you all for being with us once again today, because I appreciate your time and the sacrifice you are making. I think we are making some progress slowly, and I'll start by a bit rejoinder, because we grow slowly. So we started some times back by looking at the history of the language. From there, we've gone ahead to look at the alphabets of language, and as we had looked at before, of course, Swahili, as we had said, some other languages contributing to this, but that do not take away the aspect of Swahili being a Bantu language. As we all know, it's because the grammar and the syntax of Swahili is purely Bantu. When I talk of grammar and syntax, hope we are together. Swahili might have borrowed some words, of course, from other languages, but that do not make Swahili be their language. Of course, if you look at the comparative analysis, is that Swahili has borrowed great deal of vocabularies from Arabic and other languages as well. So it has been estimated, of course, that the borrowing from Arabic, Persian, Hindi, and other Indian Ocean languages is 20% in the spoken Swahili. It also formed 30% in the written Swahili and 50% in classical poetry. But that do not make Swahili their language. Because the basics of a language is the grammar. And as we'll be looking is that there are a lot of grammar in Swahili that are purely Bantu, and that then form the basis of Swahili being a Bantu language. We have looked at how the language has evolved from the past, from various activities, how the language has metamorphosed, how it has been used, and how it has been embraced globally. We've looked at how, for example, media stations or media channels, both in the foreign countries, have been able to spread Swahili language. We look at how films and, of course, things to do with the music and all that has been used. For example, some of the legendary films like the words like Hakuna Matata. We have the films like The Lion, King Lion. We have songs like Balerian Girl and even Malaika translated into English. We have so many other so many other ways in which arts has been used to spread the language. We have also looked at the spread of this language and the teaching of this language across various aspects, including universities, including both in China, in Russia, and all parts of the world is learning Swahili. As we are here trying to study the language, already the whites, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Russians are learning Swahili. Apart from that, we have also actually gone extra mile to identify that the Swahili exists in various dialects, including Kimvita, Kiungunja, Kiami, and that the standardized Swahili, which is then spoken, written, and taught Swahili that we are teaching, is actually called Swahili Sanifu, that is coming from Ungunja dialect. So therefore, we have gone extra miles to understand this language from its origin and how it has been used to spread a bit. And apart from that, in our previous class, we looked at how then various alphabets of Swahili are, in fact, the names of the alphabets, and we went extra mile to look at in alphabet things to do with the vowels and the consonants. At this juncture, permit me to pause and ask members of our class here who can remember to actually make for us some of the Swahili vowels. So please use the chat, every one of us who was present in the last class, to type the Swahili vowels that we learned last time, 5 of them. Please take a minute to do that. I'll give you exactly a minute to type the Swahili vowel. Each person type in the chat the 5 Swahili vowels. Let's take a minute and do that. Let's engage. Put in the chat the vowels of Swahili. Please, everyone, go to the chat. Everyone go to the chat, please put the vowels. I'm only seeing Amuka who has drafted his vowel. Everyone here, please go to the chat, put the vowels of Swahili, type them there. Okay, I'm waiting for Mary. Mary hasn't typed in the chat the vowels. But I'd like Brother Kama to please read for us the vowels you've typed. Pronounce them for us so that we can move ahead.
A, E, O, U.
Yes. Brother Charles, please pronounce the vowels again.
E, O, U.
Please come back again.
E, O, U.
Okay. Comrade George, please pronounce for us those vowels.
Last week I did a chain, so I'm just coping up with it, guys.
Yeah, just try to pronounce them.
E, O.
It is A, E, O, and U. A,
Yes.
E, then you go to O, then you go
Yes.
to U.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so that's the right pronunciation. Apart from that, we
Oh,
looked extensively at various consonants of Swahili. And the key things to note, I'll say that one, we learned that, of course, Swahili do not have a consonant C, but you have a B as ba. Then C, we don't have a standalone C. We have a cha instead of C, CH as a consonant in Swahili. Swahili also don't have consonant like consonant Q, and we also don't have consonants like consonant X. But Swahili has additional consonants. So we have consonants that are not found in English. Like consonant D, we have a DH as well. So we have a DH. We have a consonant, another consonant is consonant K, which you have a KW. We have also a BW, and we also have, for example, a consonant N and G, or even N and D. So those are various consonants. We have also S and H, which is a sha. Apart from sa, we have sha. We have even a K and H, which is ka instead of K. So those are the few consonants we learned last time. If in case anybody have a question, please feel free to come in and ask questions in regards to what we learned last time. Any question? Any question? Feel free to type in the chat.
Just a comment, my king.
It's okay. Go on.
I think, like he said, Because when you look at more especially the vowels, I think the vowels are the common ones that are used in all Bantu languages. Because even in my language, when we are learning our local language, the vowels are one and the same. No wonder, Swahili it's a Bantu language, in fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kama, for that observation. Of course, indeed, as I've said, Swahili is Bantu, both in grammar and in syntax. So you find that our grammar is the same to our syntax. Now having done that, of course, I've shared some of the consonants that we did last time, and I hope you people took notes. And today I will invite you again to have your pen ready and a paper as we get to learn today briefly on the nouns and the verbs. This will help us finish the alphabetic part of this. Then the next class will go straight to other lessons as well. Now, Swahili has nouns, just like any other languages. But Swahili, like other Bantus, has certain features which actually distinguished it from the European languages. Which, of course, most students will be familiar with this. We have looked at, for example, the pronunciation of our vowels. We have looked at the structure of our consonants and additional consonants as well. So the first distinguished feature of Swahili noun are noun class system. Let me take a pen on the other side. One of the distinguishing feature of Swahili is noun class system. What is a noun, if I could ask anybody? What is a noun? Anybody who can define it from English aspect?
The name of something, I think.
Anybody want to share anything about noun from English aspect?
I think it's the name of something.
Yeah, of course they fall under naming class. So there are words that refer to names majorly, and these names extend both to living and unliving. So noun in Swahili is called nomino. Of course, as I've said, we'll be looking at noun and verbs for today. So noun are nomino, and as I've said, Swahili has a distinguished feature in its language that it has what you call noun classes. You see, as I've said, noun are names that refer to both living and unliving. And where we have these differences coming clearly is when we are doing the noun in terms of their singular and their plural aspect. Singular, we which sometimes Swahili call umoja. Umoja coming from the word one, togetherness, so it's singular. To plural, which sometimes we call uwingi or wingi. And we know most of words. For you to get the difference, for example, you say person, people, child, children, something like that in English. So in Swahili, we also have the same. And these are expressed, as I've said, in different forms by actually different prefix. So there's a word called prefix, which Swahili then call kiambishi. And prefix are some of the words that come before either the noun or the verb. Now, I will go first of all to distinguish categories or the classes of the noun. Now, the key classes of the noun, as I've said, so we have 5 sets of noun, which follow the pattern of singular and plural. And they have also 6 sets which either have no distinguished plural or singular. So 5 sets has plural and singular. And there are 6 sets that remain the same both in singular and in plural. Now, in examples, we have the nouns, for example, for the living things. Most of the living things or persons, will refer them with M. In, this is the first class, we'll refer them with M in singular. M. For example, you'll say mtu, which is person. You will say, for example, mtoto, which is child. And you can mention more of M categories, but refers to the living things or persons. Now, when you take this class in its plural, it goes with W. So where there's an M, as mtu, if you want to make it plural, you replace M with W, and you introduce not only W, it's a WA. For example, it comes with the word wa. So you replace M with the wa to have the word to. Therefore, this first category is what we call ngeli ya wa. Ngeli ya kozangeli, which is the noun class, so is ngeli ya wa. M, which is mum in singular, and wa, which is in plural. Wa. We have, like for example, in mtoto, you replace M with the WA. What will be the plural? Somebody try. For now, the word mtoto. The plural will be?
Watoto.
Watoto.
Yes. It will be watoto. So you replace M with the WA. And I've said this category of the first class belongs to living things. Majority of this class is actually a class of living things. So you go to cow, donkeys, all of them will some of the time belong, but not actually in terms of those names that start with W. With M and their plural will be W. So for example, if you read in my chart here, this is where we are having the word Ndudu. Let me stop this and I point at the chart. Are you seeing the word I'm underlining? We have the word Ndudu, if you can see it. Dudu. The prefix here is the Dudu. That's an insect. The plural of that insect will be Wadudu. So you replace M with W, Wadudu. Now you have, for example, animal word, which is Mnyama. That's the name for animal, Mnyama. Its plural will be Wanyama. Now that is the pronoun category 1. Nouns category 1 or class 1, which is saying ngeli ya mwa. Now we have the second categories of nouns, which is the noun class K and V, which is basically used to refer to things, which is K, Ki, V. That's how we call it, Ki, V. Ki, V are especially words in Swahili that start with, in singular, start with the word ki, and in plural, the word ki will be replaced by the word V. Now, for example, you go to example, for the example, the word kiongozi, which is also underlined down there, kiongozi. Kiongozi means a leader or leader. In plural, what will it be?
Viongozi.
Viongozi. We'll have another word, for example, kitanda, which means bed. The plural of that will be
vitanda.
Yes, it will be vitanda. Now, this is the second category of noun. Now we have the third category of noun or noun class, which is me. Me is most of the category that is used, for example, most of the time in plants. Now here you get plants like mmea, which means a plant. Its plural will be somebody try. Mmea is the singular. Its plural will be somebody in that class of words where we have the class and me, which is me. Now in singular, where there's a first M, you replace that M with mi, which is me. So in mea, the plural will be me, mea. Me, mea. Any question that far? Any question in those three categories I've explained so far?
Person I was thinking, Maya is written as M-E-Y-A.
Brother Kama, you are thinking?
I thought Maya's water is written as M-E-Y-A.
M?
I mean M-E-Y-A.
E-Y-A.
M-E-Y-A. That's what I thought.
That one, Maya. No, that's not the right one. It's Maya. You have to put the Maya. For example, you have the word again, T. T, which means tree. Its plural will be me, T. So where there's an M, you put an MI. Now, these are just simple examples of the noun, but as we move along, we'll be getting deeply enough to understand and learn more nouns and their noun classes. We'll exhaust them in our future classes as we try to go deep to understand variety of those nouns and their noun classes. But for now, I want you to understand the basic noun classes, which are the class MWA, which is wa. This one. Somebody should be muted. So I'm having the main classes I want to teach you is class wa, this wa, which you call ngeli ya wa. And then the second class is class mi, which is ngeli ya mi. Then the third class is kivi. Now, the wa, as I've said, belongs to majority of living things. Many of living things fall there. Well, mi is majority of plants. Then kivi are for things, either artifacts or just things. Table, chair, seat, those are the things. That's where the class KV comes in. Important. Now, as I've said again, that noun classes in Bantu could be compared to genders in Indo-European languages. Except in Bantu languages, there are many more gender than the familiar feminine, masculine, or neutral gender, for example, in other languages. So that's not of big concern to us. But the key concern here is understanding that Swahili has various noun classes, which is very unique. Noun class system. And that we have 5 noun class system that change both in singular and plural. And those changes in terms of writing occurs in the prefixes, the first letters or sounds. There are second category of around 6 noun classes that do not change at all. The word remains the same in singular and the same in plural. Having said that, permit me to go ahead a bit is one of the books we are using. Of course, I believe I've shared this book with most of you. It's a book I shared sometimes back. If you don't have a copy of this book, you let me know so that I can give you a copy of the book in the chat. But I hope, Brother Simon, the 3 books that I'd shared, each member has a copy of them. Now, as I've said, basically I'm going back to watoto wanasoma, kisu kime anguka. Now this is making more of a sentence now, because one thing you need to understand is when you're structuring these Bantu nouns, then the verb must follow the noun structure. For example, when you say the word mtoto, which is the class category M, mtoto, most of the time, mtoto, you can say mtoto anasoma, which means the child is studying. But when you come to the plural where you place you'll also say watoto. And where there's you'll bring the word wa. So you carry the word to say wanasoma. So the W plural is you both pluralize the noun and you pluralize the verb. The action, the adjective, the doing word, you have to pluralize it as well. If you say, for example, kisu, which is the knife, kimeanguka, you use the word kimeanguka. Knife, kisu, kimeanguka, which is key. The key thing you need to observe is the key in plural. When you take that in plural, this is in singular. When you take in plural, it will be visu, where there's a key, and where there's another key is v, meanguka. So you replace basically the kk with vv. But this is in a language or a sentence structure that we'll learn later. As long as we've learned that most of the words that either non-class categories are either in wa for human beings, mi for plants, and kivi for things or artifacts. Now, when you look at the verbs, you realize that there's another interesting feature of Bantu language, which is the role the verb plays in a sentence. So you realize that many grammatic functions are signaled by the verb, by either affixes. In Swahili, these include, of course, subject or object, and relative pronouns or tenses or other categories. We'll look at subject and object classes later as we go to the other classes that will be coming in the future, including the past tense and the present tense. But we will also concentrate on majority of these noun, because most of the verbs, because the verbs here will now be looking at not prefixes. The verbs will be coming at the suffix, which is toward the end of a statement. And verbs will always be actually the explanation of the adjective, which means what we call kielezo. So the verbs always explain an action. That is the work of the verb. Explanation of an action. You're explaining an action. That's what the verb does. But in the verb now in Swahili, which you call kielezi, which means explainer. Kielezi in Swahili is called explainer. It explains the action. So most of the time we will be having those verbs in various categories. For example, in the category of the action. And then we will change. You look at the noun, we are dealing with the prefix, like we are changing m to wa. We are changing ki to v. We are changing an to me. But in the verb, we'll be changing the last part of the sentence or the word or the action. For example, you can have an action like fundisha, which comes from the word funza, which means teach. It can then be fundisha, which still means, so we are bringing the ndisha here, which is isha. So we are bringing in the verb the word isha, which is the suffix at the end of the main action fundisha or funza. So we're bringing the isha here as a verb, which means teach. Still means teach, but you can also change that fundisha to be fundishwa. You bring a shwa, which means to be taught. So key thing you need to understand as we'll be going deep into some of these words is that in Swahili, the noun, in terms of the plural or the structure of changes of noun, we have noun classes, and in the nouns, the word that come before, the prefix. We change those prefix. For example, in living things, the M will change to WA, wa in plural. And the key will be V, the M will be MI. Now in Swahili verbs, we are trying to explain especially the action, which is, we will have in future, I think as we go along, I'll expand on the verbs because we'll have a lesson purely on verbs alone. But this is just introduction to some of the structures of the verb. So we'll have to look at the suffix, what come after the action. So how you modify it, teach, be taught, learn, or anything like that, run, running, or that, all those will be coming under verbs. So in the verbs, we focus in the last words of the action, which is the suffix, while in the noun, we focus on the prefix. Now, I'll not be delving more on these of actions in regards to noun and verbs, but I'd like to share a brief text of this lesson in our chat so that you can go along with it. It's very brief, that explains deeply what I've just said in brief, noun and verbs, so that you can look at it again throughout the week as we move to next week when we will get to the next lesson. But this is just an introduction. We'll be coming across more of the noun and the verb as we move along. In case there's any question, let me know. If there's no question, we will end our class here with a brief introduction we've done on noun and the verbs in Swahili and the noun classes. Then I'll share the document. As we get the questions, I'll be able to share the documents in the chat that will enable you or guide you in what we've just explained here briefly. Back to you, moderator. Moderator.
Oh, thank you so much, the speaker, the teacher tonight. We appreciate you. Having you in the house is a blessing to us. We appreciate every step we have been doing together, and even all members that you have been cooperated so that you can have these classes in every Friday. So it is an interaction session for any question concerning what the teachers just tabled before us. If there is no question, just short question. Anyone with any comment, addition? please just raise your hand so that I can identify you for the case of order. So it is like we are all satisfied with what the teachers just taught us. So we have the president around. She can say something, then close the meeting immediately. My queen, are you there, please?
Maybe before that, my king, he promised to write something in the chat. We're not seeing it.
Okay. My teacher, there is something you should send on our chat before they close the meeting.
I'm attaching this summary of what we've learned briefly into a small document that I want to share here, because if I say I'll share later, probably I might not be able, based on how engaged I am, I might not be able to share it later. So let me just share it now on the chat. That will briefly on the noun and the verb brief introduction that you've done as we wait for the next class. Let me also go to I'll also share the lesson plan so that you can know what you're doing in the next class. You can maybe read in advance or read ahead as you prepare for that. But yes, I'm seeing another hand is up. I've shared the small attachment of what you've done here, a 2-page thing on the noun and the verb, just a follow-up explanation. But as I've said, this is an introduction. We will not miss noun and the verbs as we learn the language, because those are what will come continuously discuss. And when I now try to say the plural aspect of this one, because we'll have a lesson on plurals and singulars, then you'll be able to understand where we are coming from. So I think that's in order. Yes, back to you, moderator.
Yes, the teacher. Yes, the teacher. Can you also share it on our platform for the class? So One Map Africa Kiswahili class. We start sharing on the chat.
Yes, I think that's noted. Teacher can share it now.
Anybody who will be able to download it, because I've shared it here, can also share it in the chat.
It's okay, I'm going to do that. So is there any question, any comment?
Briefly, let me take the numbers again on what we are supposed to be doing in the next class. So we are doing at alphabet. I've extended alphabet a bit to the aspect of the noun and the verb. We have done the practice on the pronunciation of the consonants and the vowels. And we will be now, in the next class, we'll be familiarizing ourselves with the distinct sounds of Swahili letters. And we will also look at the Swahili syllables. So those are what we expect to do in the next class. Letter sounds and syllables in Swahili. Thank you. Back to you, moderator.
Well, thank you so much. Are you there? You have a problem. Mike, come.
Hello, I'm not sure whether I'm audible from here.
You're audible, Mike. Yes.
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank. Yes, I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of One Map Africa chairperson, who is not able to talk now because she's driving, she's in the road. So thank you, our teacher, King Pigbin, and also thank you all members who have attended the class. We wish you a very good evening, good night, and a good day wherever you are. Thank you, and we hope to meet again on next Friday for the next class. Then we'll ask the teacher to share also in our One Map Africa Kiswahili class platform. So whatever has been shared should be shared there. You can get it there. There is the link that have been shared. Please feel free to join the group so that you can get more on the teachings of Kiswahili lessons. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, thank you all. See you next week, and please always remember to carry something to write on.
Thank you so much.